He stood in Victory Lane at Charlotte Motor Speedway wearing a number 8 hat, and the first thing he said was a name, not his own, not his team's, Kyle's. Daniel Suarez just won the Coca-Cola 600 NASCAR's longest race, and in the process delivered one of the most emotionally loaded Victory Lane speeches this sport has ever heard. What he said and why he had every right to say it is a story that goes back years, and it all came together on the worst possible week for the best possible reason. Suarez won the rain-shortened Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway Sunday night, his third career Cup Series victory and first in over 2 years. The race ended 27 laps short of the full distance after heavy rain made conditions unraceable. Suarez took the lead following a bold 2-tire call by crew chief Ryan Sparks, held off a strong group of Toyota Challengers through multiple restarts, and was out front when NASCAR red flagged and ultimately called the event. In Victory Lane, Suarez wore a number 8 hat, Busch's number at Richard Childress Racing, and dedicated the win directly to the Busch family. He credited Kyle Busch with being the reason he became an Xfinity champion and earned a chance in the Cup Series at all. Suarez races for Spire Motorsports, a team that operates out of the facility formerly known as Kyle Busch Motorsports, purchased from Busch in 2023. The cars ran KBM branding all weekend. The victory sends the Coca-Cola 600 trophy back to the building Busch built. Kyle Busch died Thursday, May 21st at 41 years old. He won his final NASCAR race, his 234th career victory, just 10 days earlier at Dover Motor Speedway. He was preparing to run the Coca-Cola 600 when he collapsed. The debt Suarez owes to Kyle Busch is not a figure of speech. It is a documented, specific, professional reality. Suarez arrived in NASCAR without the traditional American development path. He came from Mexico, learned the sport from the outside in, navigated language and cultural barriers, and needed someone already inside the system to take a genuine interest in his development. Busch did that. Week after week, voluntarily with no obligation and no audience. He helped Suarez understand the craft of racing at NASCAR's level, and according to Suarez himself, that guidance was the difference between getting a real shot and not getting one. Suarez won the Xfinity Series championship with that foundation under him. He used that title to unlock opportunities in the Cup Series that his talent deserved, but might not have reached without the mentorship that preceded it. That is the specific lineage behind the words, "This one is for Kyle." Then layer in what Spire Motorsports actually is. Kyle Busch founded his truck team in 2009. He ran it for 14 seasons, 100 victories. When he sold it to Spire in 2023, the physical infrastructure, the employees, the competitive culture, all of it transferred. Spire co-owner Jeff Dickerson was Busch's original Cup Series agent and his longtime spotter. The roots between Busch and this organization go back 2 decades. So when Suarez crossed the line first at Charlotte on Sunday, the trophy was not just going to a driver who admired Busch, it was going to a building Busch built, run by a man Busch worked beside for years, carrying a number Busch made famous. The connections are not metaphorical, they are structural, they are permanent. The phrase, "this one is for Kyle," gets said in sports all the time. It is usually a post-game reflex, a way to honor someone in a moment of celebration, without the words meaning much beyond a gesture. What made Suarez's version different is that he immediately explained why, and the explanation held up under examination. He did not say Busch inspired him. He said Busch is the direct reason he has the career he has. That is a harder, more specific claim, and it is credible. The Xfinity championship that opened Cup Series doors for Suarez did not materialize from talent alone. It came from talent shaped by access to information and guidance that most drivers in his position would not have received from a 2-time champion with no structural obligation to help them. That detail reframes Busch's legacy in a way that the statistics do not capture. 2 championships, 63 Cup wins, 234 combined victories. Those numbers are extraordinary, but they do not tell you about a driver who took time consistently to help a young Mexican competitor who is still figuring out English. That is a different kind of contribution to the sport, and Suarez naming it publicly in Victory Lane at the Coca-Cola 600 is the moment it became part of the official record. Parker Kleigerman's observation that the team Busch built won this race is the sharpest framing of the whole weekend. Spire is not just a team with sentimental connections to Busch. It is operationally, physically, and culturally an extension of what he constructed. The shop is his shop. The people came with the building. The competitive philosophy they absorbed came from years of watching a driver who, as Jeff Dickerson put it, had a maniacal desire to be the best and made everyone around him rise to meet it. Busch's 5 Truck Series wins for Spire, off to the sale, deserve mention here too. He sold the team and then kept racing for it part-time, winning 5 more times in those trucks, the last one 10 days before his death. He never stopped being connected to the organization he built, and now the organization he built is a Coca-Cola 600 winner. The hat Suarez chose for Victory Lane, the number 8, Busch's RCR number, was not an accident. That is a specific choice made in a specific moment, visible on national television, saying something without requiring words. Suarez had already said the words. The hat confirmed he meant them. Suarez's Victory Lane tribute has been received as the defining emotional moment of the Coca-Cola 600, which is remarkable given the extraordinary pre-race ceremony, the broadcast silence on lap 8, and the missing man formation earlier in the evening. The post-race comments cut through all of it. The reason is specificity. Suarez did not offer a general tribute to a great champion. He told a specific story about what Busch did for him, named what it produced, and then dedicated the win accordingly. That level of detail earns a different kind of response from an audience than a blanket tribute does. NASCAR fans who had complicated feelings about Busch during his career, and there were plenty of them, are receiving this weekend's collective portrait of who he actually was with genuine reassessment. The Suarez story adds to a growing body of evidence assembled entirely by people who competed alongside him that the private version of Kyle Busch was significantly different from the public one. And that private version was clearly the one that mattered most to the people he was around. Klagerman's framing on social media that the team Busch built won the 600 has spread far and been widely quoted. It is the cleanest summary of what Sunday's result actually means, and it arrived quickly enough to shape how a significant portion of the audience understood the win in real time. Suarez's win becomes the anchor story of the 2026 NASCAR season, the moment that defined not just a race, but an entire legacy weekend. His Victory Lane tribute reframes how the casual sports fan understands Kyle Busch's impact, reaching well beyond the core NASCAR audience because the story of mentorship and gratitude translates universally. Spire Motorsports, energized by this result and the cultural weight it carries, continues its upward trajectory and becomes a legitimate championship contender in the years ahead. And Daniel Suarez, finally with a crown jewel win on his resume, enters the second half of the season as a genuine playoff threat. The rain-shortened nature of the win becomes its defining asterisk. The 27 missing laps create enough doubt in enough minds that the result never fully gets its due, reduced in the record books and in casual conversation to a weather decision rather than a true Coca-Cola 600 victory. Suarez's emotional tribute gets acknowledged but does not translate into sustained momentum, and the second half of the season fades back into the midfield. The most meaningful win of his career gets qualified into something smaller than it deserved to be, and the story loses its power under the weight of the footnote. Kyle Busch spent a week helping a driver who had no obvious claim on his time. He did it quietly, consistently, and without making it about himself. And on Sunday night, that driver stood in Victory Lane at Charlotte Motor Speedway in Busch's hat, holding a Coca-Cola 600 trophy destined for Busch's building, and told 95,000 people in a national television audience exactly why it mattered. That is a legacy, not the 234 wins, not the championships. The fact that someone who benefited from his generosity had a stage big enough to say so at the right moment. Here is the question I want you to settle in the comments. Is Suarez's win the mentorship, the building, the hat? The speech, the most complete tribute any driver has ever delivered to a fallen competitor in the history of NASCAR? Make your case. I want to read every one of them. Subscribe if you've been here all weekend for this coverage. We documented this entire Charlotte story from start to finish, and it was one worth documenting.